It is a privilege for me to present in the opening ceremony of Exercise Milan 2026 here at Visakhapatnam, the city of destiny and indeed the jewel of India's east coast. I extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests, especially our friends and partners from 74 countries, which is the largest ever participation in Milan. Friends, I convey India's sincere appreciation for your enthusiastic participation in this significant maritime event. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday at the International Fleet Review by the Honorable President of India, we witnessed a clear affirmation of goodwill, professionalism, and a mutual respect among the world's navies. It was a powerful reminder that while our flags differ, we all speak the same maritime language, a shared commitment to keep the global commons safe, secure, and stable. Ladies and gentlemen, Exercise Milan gives practical expression to that shared language. Today, we carry forward that cohesive spirit and maritime momentum from ceremony to substance as we transition decisively into the operational aspect of maritime engagement through Milan. Inspired by the Hindi word Milan, meaning a meeting of friends, this exercise represents in its truest sense a meeting of equals and a confluence of like-minded nations and maritime professionals united by a common purpose. From its mindset, beginning in 1995 at Sri Vijayapuram, when a small group of friendly navies first came together, Milan has grown steadily in scope and stature. Over the years, due to concerted efforts of all partners, Milan has evolved from a regional interaction into one of the world's most prominent multinational level exercises. It has evolved into one of India's most credible and consistent maritime engagements. This year, with the participation of more than 74 nations, Milan 2026 stands as the largest and most inclusive edition to date, a reflection of the confidence the global maritime community places in India as a trusted and responsible maritime partner. Ladies and gentlemen, Milan 2026 seeks to enhance interoperability among navies of partner countries, improve professional competence by sharing of the professional experiences and practices, and deepen friendship among participating navies by evolving bonds of mutual advantage. Through joint exercises at sea, professional interactions during such meetings, and cultural exchanges, we reaffirm our commitment for establishing a lasting bond of friendship. We aspire to establish an equitable maritime order based on international rules and freedom of navigation in accordance with the international law. Ladies and gentlemen, as I address the magnificent gathering of the commanders and the senior level leaders from across the globe, I would like to start by highlighting a few important issues facing contemporary geostrategic world. It is fashionable these days to say that as far as international peace and order is concerned, the contemporary technology-oriented defense preparedness is moving away from the naval domain. Ladies and gentlemen, the increase of naval power has historically been equated with the era of the mercantilism and colonialism. Growth of capitalism was supported by gunboat diplomacy of seafaring nations. And when we analyze the age of colonialism, the naval power was the foremost symbol of the strength across the world. Nations with formidable and well-equipped navies not only dominated sea trade routes, but also extended their influence over distant lands. During that era, Alfred Theras' sea power theory gained prominence, wherein he declared, who rules the sea rules the world. The equation was no doubt correct in context of 18th and 19th century power play. The second half of 20th century witnessed an explosion of technology in defense, where lethality and efficiency in warfare enhanced manifold. This technological revolution led to an enormous ascension in certain quarters. That significance and role of naval power has somewhat reduced strategically. Friends, it is my firm belief that when almost 75% of the surface of our earth is covered with seas and oceans, role of navies can never be downplayed. If at all, the role of navies in international peacemaking has only increased over time, and there are good reasons for that. One, there has been an exponential economic growth during the last few decades, leading to massive increase in international trade and transport. The busy economic sea channels are arteries of the international trade today. As the trade and the transport increase, the need of their protection enhances your role. Secondly, there has been an increase in contest for ownership of straits and the channels, sometimes causing threats of flare-up. This calls for increased naval watch. And third, increasing international attention to underwater resources, particularly rare earth minerals, are today adding a new dimension to this tension. The threat to the common good is much more today than ever in history. Ladies and gentlemen, next is the spread of terrorism across the world. There is a need to guard our waters from the nefarious terrorist activities which are spreading their influence across countries and the regions. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from the above, the challenges we face at sea today are much more complex and interconnected. Traditional threats coexist with emerging ones, and piracy, maritime terrorism, illegal fishing, trafficking, cyber vulnerabilities, and disruption to critical supply chains. Climate change is intensifying natural disasters, making humanitarian and disaster relief operations more frequent and more demanding. No single navy, however capable, can address these challenges alone. This is why cooperation among the navies is no longer an option, it is an imperative. It is in the context of these issues that the responsibilities of the navies have only increased in recent decades. Ladies and gentlemen, all these distinctive responsibilities call upon the international community to join hands to manage the challenges harmoniously and act in the spirit of mutual respect and give and take. It is here that I would like to give you an idea to ponder over. The United Nations Convention on the Law of Seas, or UNCLOS, provides a robust legal framework for addressing matters related to international waters. UNCLOS provides a comprehensive and a time-tested mechanism for dispute redressal and a peaceful coexistence among the nations. It is my belief that this legal framework can be further strengthened through a comprehensive global naval architecture, one that facilitates information sharing, protects links of the communications, and curbs criminal activities, including terrorism on high seas, along with the usual role of protecting the national boundaries on a global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, when I say this, I am also cognizant of the recent erosion of belief in multilateralism. Today we find that the established international order since the end of Cold War is witnessing an upheaval. The stability of last 60 to 70 years in international order has become uncertain. And we are today in search of the more predictable and certain international system of governance. Platforms like Milan serve precisely this purpose. They bring together professional expertise, build mutual trust, enhance interoperability, and enable coordinated responses to common challenges. When our ships sail together, when our sailors train together, and when our commanders deliberate together, we build a shared understanding that transcends geography and politics and provides an opportune moment to deliberate on this idea of cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, India has long recognized the need of this cooperation. Accordingly, our approach to the seas, shaped by vision of Sagar, security and growth for all in the region over the last decade, has evolved into Vision Mahasagar, or mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth across regions. This evolution from Sagar, meaning seas, to Mahasagar, or oceans, reflects India's deepening and expanding commitment to engage with partners in the region and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, India, on its part, has been a willing partner in all efforts to bring the countries together. We have participated regularly in the multilateral engagements and the coordinated patrols. Our forces have responded swiftly to humanitarian crises, from tsunami to providing timely assistance to our neighbors. We have been engaged in many joint exclusive economic zones, surveillance, and hydrographic assistance and support missions in times of cyclones. As a true Vishwamitra, or a trusted global friend, we will continue to play a constructive and dependable role in the region. And we believe that holistic maritime security and a mutual prosperity are indivisible and can only be achieved through cooperation, trust, and a shared commitment among like-minded nations. Ladies and gentlemen, I would urge all our friends and partners to make the most of the professional and the social engagements scheduled ashore and at sea to build and renew interpersonal and institutional bonds while leaving behind a lasting wake of fond memory. To the officers and sailors of the Indian Navy, particularly those of the Eastern Naval Command, and to the Andhra Pradesh State and Visakhapatnam City Administration supporting this event, I commend your unwavering dedication and efforts. To conclude, I wish Vision 2026 every success. Thank you. Jai Hind.